Okay. So, good morning. And we're going to do the same class format that we followed last week. So, a little bit of a presentation, and then a group discussion, and then the guided meditation, and then a little bit of a recap and discussion. And then at the end of the class, we have our social hour. So you're all welcome to stay and have some tea and cookies and hang out and continue the discussion that we started that we'll have today in class. Or we can talk about whatever we feel like talking about. So that will be right after class for however long we feel like staying. So. We'll start by just setting our motivation for coming together today. So we'll just sit comfortably in a meditation posture. And just a few thoughts. So may I be happy and free of all kinds of suffering. May I treasure the extraordinary happiness that comes from cherishing others more than myself. May I be content with what I have and not feel the need for more and more and more. May I rejoice with all my heart and all the virtuous actions, all the good that I see around me, and all the virtues of others. People helping animals, people helping people, animals helping people, animals helping animals, whatever. There's so much good all around us. And just taking a minute to acknowledge, to recognize, and celebrate, and all of that good. So, so important. And for those of us who are following the Buddhist path, then may I never abandon my wish to attain enlightenment. For the sake of all sentient beings, may I do whatever is necessary, whatever it takes, whatever I can do, whatever I aspire to do, in order to be able to make others happy, to free them from suffering. Okay. You can see the slides, right? If I do that, I don't think I did that quite right. But anyway. That's what we're going to do. So in the last class, we talked a little bit about the 16 guidelines as a whole. And so I'll just put these up as a reminder. And we talked about very quickly humility, patience, contentment, and delight, and the relationship between these four quadrants, so to speak. So in this series of classes, we are focusing on how we relate, and we talked about how these four, respect, forgiveness, gratitude, and loyalty, how those are dependent on and related to these other three areas. And so in the last class, we talked about respect, and today we're talking about forgiveness. Forgiveness is such a huge, huge topic. I find it very interesting, and emotionally, I thought it was more challenging to think through than maybe respect, because it touches maybe more on like personal vulnerability or weakness or something that is with us all the time. So we're going to talk about forgiveness today. So what is forgiveness? So to give you the textbook definition, just to kind of get the discussion going. So from the American Psychological Association, forgiveness involves willfully putting aside feelings of resentment towards someone who has committed a wrong, been unfair or hurtful, or otherwise harmed you in some way. So it's not merely accepting what happened or, just ceasing to be angry. You're just, it's not like a blind, something that happens automatically. Instead, it involves a voluntary transformation of your feelings, attitudes, and behaviors so that you are no longer dominated by resentment and instead can express compassion, generosity, or the like toward the person who wronged you. Okay. So there's a lot of thoughts in that quote. And so as we go through today's discussion and presentation, we'll kind of unpack the meaning of that. But I think the key words here are a voluntary transformation, like it takes effort, right? It's a conscious transformation to address and transform our own attitudes, our own response towards being harmed. So to put this, in a Dharma context, so we can think about all of the things that cause us to have uh, thoughts and feelings and to take action in a way that might put us in a situation where we act in such a way that we are going to provoke a reaction in somebody else, so that we end up in the situation of having to ask for or to grant forgiveness, right? It doesn't come out of nowhere is what I'm trying to say. So for example, where did I put these things? Okay, the eight worldly concerns are the famous eight worldly concerns, meaning just the things that we are tied up with, right? We tend to want, so the guys on the left relate to the guys on the right. So for example, we want more gain, right? And we want less loss. We want more stuff. We don't want to lose our stuff, or whatever it is. We want to be famous. We don't want to be disgraced. We want more praise. We don't want to be blamed for anything, right? We want more pleasure. We want more ice cream and pretty clothes, beautiful perfumes, or and we don't want any type of, physical or mental pain. So because we have the tension between wanting, gain, fame, praise, and pleasure, and not wanting loss, disgrace, blame, and pain, and the like, then we tend to hold on to, this is sort of an example of the things that our innate tendency to hold on to ourselves, right? Me, myself, I want, gain, fame, pleasure. It all comes back to the sense of self, right? The sense of self. And so because of that, when something happens to take away, our our gain, our fame, praise and pleasure, etc. When somebody, takes those things, our precious possessions away from us, right? Then maybe we get angry and we yell at them and we have this over the top reaction, right? And then you have to like say, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't really mean that, I take it back that my reaction was totally, out of bounds, right? So then you have to apologize. So I just wanted to give you a couple of so why are these called the eight worldly concerns? So they're called worldly because, like I said, they revolve around the human experience in this temporary world that we live in, right? They're just temporary. They're impermanent. They're out of our control, right? Because things change from moment to moment, and yet we think that they will not change, that they will be fixed and never go away, right? So um, Geshe Geshe Wang Lujin, right? Lujin was here, and she gave three classes on the 37 practices of a bodhisattva in September. And so, for those of you who attended her class, I specifically picked a few verses from that text. Oh, no problem. We just started to use as examples for when we're talking about forgiveness. So, for example, verse 12 was, and I actually put these on slides. Amazing. Even if others in the grips of great desire should steal or encourage others to take away all the wealth that I possess, to dedicate to them entirely my body, possessions, and all my merits from the past, present, and future, this is the practice of all the bodhisattvas. So what that is an example of is what? What kind of practice would that be? Right? So instead of getting mad and the way I certainly would if somebody took away, something nice. Hey, generosity. So you turn it around. Here's this terrible thing that happened to me. I'm not going to get mad. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to practice generosity, right? Cool. Okay, so that was verse 12. Verse 13. Even if others should seek to cut off my head, so physical pain, right? Though I've done them not the slightest wrong, to take upon myself out of compassion all the harms they have amassed, this is the practice of all the bodhisattvas. So what is that an example of? The key word is right there in the sentence. Instead of getting angry, we use this as an opportunity to
practice compassion.
Practice compassion, exactly. Easier said than done, right? Somebody's out there, they're gonna, shoot you, cut off your head, and you do not get angry, even though this feels like it's completely out of the blue, right? It feels like I didn't do anything. This is totally unprovoked, right? We'll get to that in a second. 37, okay, verse 14. Even if others should declare before the world all manner of unpleasant things about me, to speak only of their qualities in return, with a mind that's filled with love, this is the practice of all the bodhisattvas. Okay. Shout it out.
Yeah, you needed to.
Equanimity?
You needed to.
Humility. Oh, yeah, I like that too. Yeah, humility. Right.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. To speak only, yeah. Or maybe maybe respect, to speak only their qualities in return. Is that identifying something good about this person who might maybe initially not think, you might not think they're that great because they're yelling at you.
Forgiveness too.
Yeah, exactly. So these are all examples of forgiveness. They're that's the overall topic of today's class is forgiveness. So, and these verses were supposed to be different aspects about it.
You were right.
Absolutely. You got it. You absolutely got it. Okay. So love is one aspect of forgiveness, right? Yeah, okay. Then the last one, just quickly here, is even if others should expose my hidden faults or deride me, when speaking amidst great gatherings of many people, to conceive of them as spiritual friends and to bow before them in respect. This is the practice of all of the bodhisattvas. So this is closely related to the previous verse. And here again, we're talking about respect and seeing others as spiritual friends, as providers of opportunities to practice the bodhisattvas. And so in the teachings, we learn that we certainly need the Buddhas to guide us. But equally important, we need other sentient beings, other living beings, whether they're human beings or animals, et cetera, et cetera. Those are equally important, equally necessary on our path to enlightenment. Because they give us all this valuable stuff, all these opportunities that we need to transform our own mind. So we're not going to do the discussion just yet. We have to talk a little bit more. So when you think of, those verses as a whole, right? Ordinarily, if any of those situations arose, the first reaction is normally, okay, I'm going to be mad, right? I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be hurt. I'm just going to be I'll have a meltdown, right? And then I'm going to have, I'm going to get my lawyer, get my lawyer involved. I'm going to sue you. And so Lama Zopa Rinpoche is a very, very wonderful spiritual holy being, right? Passed away recently, but he said, some of the basic Buddhist ideas is when somebody gets angry, you do not get angry back, right? Number one, don't get angry back. When somebody scolds you, don't retaliate by scolding them back. When somebody provokes you, you don't jump on them and provoke them back, okay? When somebody beats you with a stick, you don't beat them back. And it goes on from there, those are like, a few examples, but the whole point is, forgiveness, practice forgiveness, practice patience, etc. And so it's a conscious decision though, right? Practicing forgiveness, you really have to draw on all of your training, really, all of your training, all of your practice, all of your commitment to non-harming, to non-violence, right? In order to stop yourself from reacting and, meeting anger with anger, etc. And then being able to practice forgiveness. Okay, does that make sense? So this is our starting out with a little bit of a group discussion. So what are the benefits of practicing forgiveness?
Inner peace.
Inner peace. Yeah. Yeah. And you want to elaborate on that a little bit? And what do you want to jump in? Why? Why does that result in inner peace?
You're liberating yourself from a very unpleasant feeling and turning that into something a lot more pleasant to deal with physically.
Yeah. Yeah, you're freeing yourself.
Mhm.
And that goes back to that original definition. But yeah, I think that's really key. So when you think about it in terms of what do you want to carry on for the rest of the day, you have that choice. You choose inner peace versus dragging around a lot of, toxic feeling there. Yeah, that's probably the main benefit. Anything else though? Like
Non-escalation.
non-escalation? That's a
Right.
great point. Yeah.
I mean, you might not be bringing happiness to the other person, but you're not escalating.
Yeah, you're forgiving them and then sort of putting an end to the situation, right? Versus
You're,
filling
you're
fire.
your fingers on the fuse. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So from a relationship, point of view, you're
Movies.
you're putting an end to this. A
And-
situation that might spin out of control. Okay,
Also,
Yeah.
anyway, can I add something?
please.
The even the sutras and the commentaries all also talk about the immediate, like, worldly rewards of that kind of behavior, in that you get a good reputation and people respect you for your patience and forgiveness, and you're rewarded even just with positive friendship and help when you need it, and even in a worldly sense, that kind of behavior is very rewarding.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah. If you wanted to,
I guess reciprocation is what I'm getting at. As in one word, your
yeah,
behavior reciprocated.
yeah, yeah. You get back what you put into this. So if you respond in a virtuous way, in a non-antagonistic way, then yeah, it reflects on your own character as well, for sure, for sure. Okay, so it's an opportunity to practice virtue, right? That we were talking about, respect and generosity and kindness, right? And use it as an opportunity for your own personal, growth, but also as a way of restoring relationships. Maybe it's not just one-on-one, but maybe it's in a group situation, right? So then everybody benefits from defusing the situation, right? Everybody benefits from saying, giving somebody some grace, right? Like saying, okay, the guy's just having a bad day. Let's just, you know, let's just be okay with this and move on. Uh-huh.
Well, sometimes people give forgiveness maybe a little too loudly. Like if you forgive somebody very vocally, then you're basically telling them that they're wrong and they have something to be forgiven for. And that can go over, it doesn't always go over so well.
Okay. Yeah, you
I
can be
tell people
careful.
flat out, like if we're like having any kind of discussion, I'm like, I forgive you, just to be funny. And they're
Does
like,
it work?
"What are you-" Usually, it diffuses.
Love it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of humor always helps, right? Yeah, yeah. Or maybe they don't even realize that they hurt you, right?
Communication is so important.
Yeah, because then you say, "Oh, I forgive you." I'm like, "What did I do?"
I forgive somebody in my life that I really was trying to seek the approval of again. And it lasted a long time, like me writing a letter and, trying to make peace. And
Oh,
I talked to Chappelle and Geishla, and they're like, you just need to forgive him. I was looking for me to
Yeah.
forgive him. And then as soon as I did that, it changed everything. I didn't have this longing to be validated
Got
by
it.
this person. It was more like, I forgive you. And, I see him all the time. So it makes me able to handle that situation a lot better.
Right, right. And that
Forgiveness.
might be an example of where the other person doesn't even recognize or know that,
Damaged.
yeah.
I can't fix that,
Yeah.
I feel like forgiveness too is the one thing that you can do in control the situation because you have no bearing or authority or license over anybody else to control how they react and how they behave.
Right.
So if you're hoping to resolve a situation by allowing them to do it, you're going to lose every single time. And the one thing you can control is how you react and how you forgive.
Perfect.
And
Yeah.
so instead of waiting for the something that could never happen to happen, you take the responsibility for yourself and say, I can control this and I can forgive because I can do that.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
I wonder about if you have thoughts around forgiveness and enabling behavior.
In what sense?
I guess I see it maybe on a spectrum where it's like you can forgive, and then at what point does it maybe become enabling the person or enabling a situation that isn't, healthy or positive or good for either of you?
Oh, so you could forgive somebody, but end up making the situation worse in a
Or
way,
perpetuating it?
perpetuating. Oh. So forgiving somebody and maybe they continue to self-harm or harm others, or oh yeah. No, that's a good point too. Right. Right. So exercising some caution and so the context of, yeah, that's a good point.
I'm
Sure.
curious if you have thoughts about that. the balance.
I think that, yeah, I think that, yeah, that's a good segue. I mean, that kind of summarizes what others have been saying. Yeah, I think you'd have to be really careful because you don't want to give people, someone permission in a sense by saying, you know, I forgive you, you can continue to harm me or harm others. I'll just keep forgiving you, right? So you don't want them to perpetuate the negative karma that they would be accruing, you know, for themselves as well as for those around them. So, you know, forgiveness as the opposite or the antidote, as the opposite of anger is one thing, but we're not, at the same time, you're going to have to pull together and, you know, gently guide this person in a better direction. Yeah.
I feel like forgiveness can look different situationally as well.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good question. That's interesting to think about too. And I think of like drug usage, for example, comes to mind.
Yeah.
Where someone's engaging in a very heavy self-destructive behavior.
Yeah.
And I think you could say, emotionally, I forgive you. I'm not mad at you, but I'm not enabling you. I forgive you. I'm not mad,
Right.
but I'm not going to be a part of whatever, you know, the struggle that you're particularly having. So I feel like you can forgive without enabling, just emotionally being there,
Mhm.
but making sure you don't cross that threshold into.
Yeah.
It's also self-preservation to guard yourself up from people who are harmful to us, you know.
Yeah, this is a really good, very good, very good. Uh-huh.
But I mean, I think where you started the conversation was that forgiveness was something that you're kind of doing internally. And it doesn't necessarily have to be projected out.
Right.
And then if you are forgiving somebody for doing something, you're just validating bad behavior. So with like kids, it happens all the time, you know, when the kids are just having, they have bad behavior all the time. And you're not gonna like just harbor it and get angry with them, necessarily, but it's harder when it's somebody else that's not your kid, but you do forgive them their bad behavior
Yeah.
almost immediately. I guess, at least, I think most parents kind of find that, but then you have to switch modes and go into the wrathful compassion mode.
Right.
And
Right. So
Patient.
yeah.
patience, count to 10. Yeah. Yeah. So it's being patient initially, maybe, and yeah, and then forgiving, but then in the broader context, okay, now what do I do? How do I address this? How do I, support the person, give them what they need, or yeah, it all goes together. Yeah, I think that's that. What about forgiving? Here's a little bit of same topic, but maybe a little bit of a nuance here. Forgiving myself versus forgiving others. Which one's harder?
Right, it's the hardest part for you.
So-
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, forgiving yourself. I don't know why it's so much harder, um, and then if I can't forgive myself for mistakes that I have, made, whether it's harming myself or harming others, then how can I possibly, really forgive others? Right? If you can't forgive yourself, how are you going to forgive somebody else? Like the other day, truth be told, this is really sad. I'm going to tell you the whole thing, but I accidentally killed 2 mice. And I just feel terrible. It was really, I don't know. Ugh. And it's hard, to like I could say that, but emotionally it's just like, damn. All right, I'm just kicking myself over and over again for being stupid. Just stupid. So
You didn't mean it.
I know,
Your
and I'm
intent
gonna be
wasn't
more
harder
careful.
than-
Right, but
Sometimes,
animals, they just have they're so defenseless.
I had the same reaction. I clipped a deer on my way here a couple of years ago. It was not fun. But I was in the same position too. Like how like I did this. Like
Yeah.
mhm. I think, I talked with Geshe Darga a little bit about this too, about like the effect of accumulating non-virtuous karma versus the kind of like your intention playing
Yeah.
a factor.
Yeah.
And he would always say, like when I hit the deer, he's like, you didn't mean to, like the
Yeah.
intention wasn't there. As a matter of fact, that the like reality that you feel guilty or remorse about it, I mean, proves that you really weren't in the wrong here, and you can move on about this. I feel like your intention really comes down to
Yeah,
whether you did something virtuous or not virtuous.
right, right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Ernesto, were you raising your hand?
Yeah, I was curious, those verses on the previous slides.
Uh-huh.
You was asking now, like, forgiving ourselves, does that same apply to that? Because it looked like it was talking about forgiving others, but
Yeah, I think those are primarily forgiving others. Yeah. Yeah. Because it was having like, or I guess you could forgive yourself from getting angry that somebody, took your stuff or disrespected you. That might be one other way of thinking about them. Yeah. Does somebody say something?
I just wanted to say I did the same thing with a few mice a few months ago. I was storing buckets and pails, and
Uh-huh.
they jump in because something at the bottom smells good, and then they can't get out, right? And I found them, and I felt so terrible the same way you did. And I know it's so frustrating, but now I turn over every pail and bucket.
Yep.
And I do
Yep.
it I do it at my uncle's house. I'm like, oh, let me just flip that over. He'll never notice. And no mice, right? And like,
Who
and
was
so
it on?
it was like a terrible moment and a terrible time. And I still feel badly, and I include them in on my Vajrasattva practice all the time. But I think that a lot more mice are not going to jump into pails now that happened. And I always am just glad that I was afforded that opportunity to now, like, no, like, oh yeah, don't do that anymore forever. And
Yeah.
it's hard. So when you said that, my heart went out to you very much.
Yeah. In my case, it was the washing machine. I'd left the top open to dry it out, and they jumped down into the washing machine. But I'm going to check the buckets too. Buckets,
Water
and
too.
also.
They go looking for water in low spots when it's easy to find. And so since water is often at the bottom of buckets and pails and stuff like that, it's really easy for them to get caught. And it happens
Okay.
a lot. Yeah.
And watering cans. Watch
Yeah.
out. For watering
Anything
cans.
for water. They think they can jump in and drink some and jump out, and then they can't. It's sad.
Ugh.
I think that's like an interesting part of self-forgiveness is like the progression,
Mm.
right? It's like you can get stuck on like I did this terrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the next step would be so like what do you learn from that?
Mm-hmm.
And then can that be the thing that you hold on to versus the bad thing that you did or that you didn't intend to do?
Hold on to the lesson, right?
Yeah, hold on to the lesson, yeah.
Good point.
So it's a really big
I
part
like
of
that.
purification practice too in here.
Purification.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that.
Oh.
Wait, you got to
Okay.
Okay, so so we're talking about forgiveness, right? Forgiving yourself versus forgiving others. Okay, what about forgiving somebody you don't know who harms others versus somebody who you know personally who harms you directly? Difference in feeling and somebody who, maybe somebody on the news, some, person that we don't know, but we hear about the things that they've done that have harmed others, versus somebody, in your face who just, you are tailgating you on the highway or whatever, right?
That's a tough one
Yeah, that's hard.
because there are people that have such tremendous political or financial power and they inflict a great deal of harm on others. One time somebody said you should consider them an upu guru, and that's a person who teaches you something through something really horrifically negative.
Mm.
And I mean, I try to employ that, but this is a tough one, Anila.
Yeah.
I've been learning a nightmare for the past 10 years. It's hard to have equanimity when all that's going on. And I just want to say that I go to the rallies, I can hear them from my house in downtown Bethel. And I remember hearing Thich Nhat Hanh say when he was in Vietnam during the war, like he didn't side with the North or the South.
Mm-hmm.
He just was a humanitarian. So I'm like, I'm gonna cut that edge going down there. And I did. I tried to diffuse things. Like I'm not angry anymore. I'm more sad.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one because it's so ongoing, and it's really hard to always just change the channel and be okay in the midst of all of that. And I grapple with that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, Chappelle yells at me. All my friends are like, stay a little unplugged, all right? Because I'm a little bit nuts about all that. And I think everybody is at this point. And it's great when you drive because people are tense and, you know,
Yeah.
yes, and angry.
Yeah, there's a lot of anger.
And I saw a fight break out at the ice cream shop downtown. Like people are, it's just volatile. And I just try to, you know, I try to bring sunshine with people that I do.
Yeah,
I try to diffuse a little bit
that's great.
when I'm in that mode.
Yeah, yeah.
It is sad.
Yes.
And I've been looking for some signs of change. And what I noticed is there's a young man from Texas who's running for the Senate. And he sounds like such a humanitarian. And his language is very different and very refreshing. It's almost sort of Martin Luther King-ish. And I thought that that was very interesting. And this morning I saw that the Nobel Peace Prize has been awarded to a woman who's been working tirelessly in Venezuela.
Great.
So the Nobel Committee is, you know, doing something so profoundly touching and also addressing, you know, it's making sort of counter moves. It's like a chess game or something. And so it seems like, as sad as it all is, it seems like people are hearing people who speak truth to power and embracing it. And I think some of us became sort of casual in a sense. And now, since we've seen the detriment of all the negativity, when you hear it, it just, you know, you're drawn to it like a magnet.
Yeah.
So I'm cautiously optimistic and hopeful, and I just say that to the woman who said how sad she is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. Yeah. Yeah, that what we're going through is temporary and that eventually the tide will change. Yeah, for sure. Good points. Good discussion.
But the tide wouldn't change, I don't think, Anila, unless we had seen all of this. Do you know what I mean?
Wouldn't have changed. If we hadn't gone through all of this and nothing would have changed, that things would have been, so things would have, do you think that, well, hopefully everything will change for the better. And so the suffering that people have endured, you know, I mean, you could say that maybe it has resulted in a more positive, more equitable global society.
Yes.
One can only hope. And I guess the point is that, you know, we have to use this as an opportunity to push for change and not let it just, you know, be suffering that did go. Right? But we have to do our part as individuals to make this happen. Yeah. Okay, one last thought about accepting an apology. Accepting an apology. Again, this is very contextual, but what about forgiveness for somebody who doesn't apologize for harming you versus somebody who does? Can you be okay with that, right? Somebody did something to you and you think that they should apologize but to you because you feel so wronged and so hurt, right? But they don't. Is that okay?
I feel like for your own just peace of mind and serenity, you need to forgive anyway. Otherwise, you're going to be harboring something for a very long time.
Right, because you might not ever get
Right.
that verbal. Okay.
You're doing yourself a favor in that sense.
Yeah. So that takes some training, right? To be able to not expect an apology, right? But instead, just do the inner work to be let go of it. Any other thoughts about that one? John?
I don't know, I think that situation is something that everybody has struggles with.
Yeah.
In general, so I don't know, I don't have a great answer.
Does it bug you?
It's just the hard. Yeah, just, yeah.
Especially if you're working with them or they're your kids, you
Mhm.
know, and you have to keep that relationship going, right?
And if it's
Can you just,
ongoing, yeah.
yeah, they're always in your face, like, hey, you should have said sorry. You know?
Some people have such a hard time saying sorry.
Uh-huh.
And people, when you say you're sorry, they're so receptive to that. They're like, it's okay. You know, it's so key that we say things like that all the time.
Yeah, I mean it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
I do. I can apologize to people easily.
Yeah.
I think a big part of that too is understanding that even if they're not going to come forward and apologize, is taking kind of like an introspective look at it, and understand that this person did something to you, probably out of suffering in their own life.
Right.
So flipping that into compassion instead, where you can say like they did this thing, but they're also hurting, they're going through something too. So you're able to transform that disdainment for compassion.
Exactly. Exactly. That's where the loving compassion and the respect for the other person for whatever, you know, and the grace, the idea of just, you know, like, oh, the guy's having a really bad day. What can I do to make his or her day better? And how can I, you know, be there as in whatever capacity, you know, whatever role I play in that person's life, so that um, you know, our relationship is preserved, even if it's somebody that you're not going to see again.
Mhm.
How do we turn this into an opportunity for compassion? Yeah, for sure. Whether they say sorry or they don't say sorry. Yeah. And then just taking it a step further, but it's totally related. The same thing. You know, what if you want to apologize to somebody, but you can't because the person's no longer in your life?
Mhm.
You know, whether you've separated, or they've passed away, right? And you really, really, really want to say, I'm sorry. You know, you really start to think, man, I should have done this. I should have done that for that person. I wasn't caring enough. You know, this is what my mother does. My dad passed away 5 years ago, and she's like, man, I should have made more lentil soup for him when he was alive. Man, I should have done this. I didn't, you know, take good enough care for him. That's why he passed away at, you know, at age 84. And why isn't he still alive? Like it's like a little bit out of control. It's so sad, so poisonous to end up in that mindset. So, um, yeah,
I think we have to forgive ourselves for whatever part we didn't get to play. And then, I don't know, I like to write letters and not send them to people, or just kind of throw up well wishes and hope that just like energetically it makes some difference, whether it's that person or, you know, the next encounter I have where it doesn't go well, or I don't know, can be changed by the moment.
that's a beautiful idea. Yeah, yeah, writing letters, or, yeah, journaling, or maybe music, or whatever expression of that emotion, that feeling. Yeah, really good idea. Yeah.
You could practice living amends. Like if it was regretful or not being compassionate towards someone, it's just a lesson to practice more compassion.
Yeah.
Specifically, like you could, like if I wasn't nice to my mom, I could like practice more compassion with like a certain population. To
Right,
kind of,
okay,
like
yeah.
she was interested in something relative, but also it's just like universal. To be kind, more gentle,
Right,
to learn from
right.
what you had to apologize for, I guess.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we talked a little bit about purification in the Buddhist sense, and so I just wanted to touch on, I'm not going to go through the whole purification thing, but just the relationship between confession and forgiveness, right? So in many of the prayers, and as just as one of the overall important practices is this idea of confession, right? And so confession means, very simply, just this idea of acknowledging something that we've done that harmed, ourselves or harmed others, right? So acknowledging our mistakes, acknowledging our errors in front of the person that we harmed, or in this sense, in front of the Buddhas or our spiritual teachers, in order to lay down, this burden of harm that we've created, not just in the moment, but really thinking back to the day before and the day before that, all the way to beginningless time, all of that negative karma that we've created, all of that, that suffering. So that's, one of the core Buddhist practices is this idea of confession. And so, so again, a quote from Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he said, in just explaining this idea of confession, he says, throughout my beginningless samsaric existence and this and all other lives, I've unwittingly, keyword, unwittingly committed negative acts or caused others to commit them, and further oppressed by the confusion of naivety, I've rejoiced in them. Okay, so whatever I've done, I see them as mistakes, and I openly declare them to you, my guardians, from the depths of my heart. Okay, so that's the practice of confession. And so this is something that we would do on a daily basis, is confessing. And confession means that you've acknowledged, that you've recognized, you take the time to recognize all of the negative actions that you've done, all of the negative actions that you've done as a result of the destructive emotions, that overpower us, that control us, that pull us left and right, causing us, provoking us into acting harmful, right? And so confession, which I think is closely related to forgiveness, right, is an antidote to accumulating more negative karma, and it's an antidote for the three poisonous minds of anger, attachment, and ignorance. And when you achieve the results of you're able to cut through delusion, right? So you achieve the cessation of delusion, and that is the Dharmakaya. So you fulfill your ultimate potential. All right. Any comments about that before we do our group discussion? The breakout groups? Just to keep you guys awake. Okay, so the discussion topic for today is, what role does forgiveness play in our lives? Can letting go of resentment create space for greater joy, clarity, and connection? And then how does forgiveness relate to humility, respect, kindness, courage, and the like? So you can, I think what we'll do today is we're gonna work in pairs, if that's okay with you. Last time we did 2 groups of 5, and today we're gonna just try pairs. So you can't hide. No, like if you really don't want to participate, then you can, just
Go to the toilet.
yeah, get a cup of tea. That's totally okay. I don't want to put anybody on the spot because I know not everybody is into these group discussions. But if you're okay with it, yeah, or just stay online next time. No, you guys online, we're gonna do this somehow. If you're okay with it, then we're just go, 2, so Ben and Scarlett. I should have known that. Flavio and John, right? And then this is really embarrassing. Joyce, Courtney. I got this. Okay, right? And then Courtney and Sarah. Yeah, I'm really bad. Mm-hmm. Ernesto and Darmit. Wow, amazing.
You got it.
Hardest part of the class. So do you want to just sit together? So John and Flavio have to move, right? You guys have to move a little bit. Take a minute, introduce yourselves, decide which of these topics you want to talk about.
How are you?
Everybody's, you know, everybody's.
John can FaceTime me and I can be part of John and Flavio's group. I think he has my number.
Oh, yeah.
This is good. This is definitely something that I know. It's definitely something that I do struggle with, the forgiveness aspect. This is a very gratuitous time for this class that comes to things. It's interesting.
The universe always is conspiring.
Always, fully exactly as it should.
It's online. I know this is a little hard, but
Yeah.
When
we need the questions still. Still put the questions back up.
I feel wrong.
We could do this, you know, for via chat, if you want to just go ahead and
Forgiveness.
type your ideas into the chat. That's one way of doing
Sometimes
it.
this feels like.
Or if you want to unmute, we can try to do it that
If
way,
it doesn't happen, then it feels like difficult to
whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I find that is like
What's up?
difficult to me. I feel good, like, I think grounded. I know
Oh,
what
shit.
it's doing in my life anymore.
Yeah.
I'm also.
Annie, I'm sorry, can you tell us the question or topic again?
Yeah. Can you see the, yeah, just need to move the screen a little bit. What role does forgiveness play in our lives? And letting go of resentment create space for greater clarity.
They're supposed to forget.
How
But at the
does
same time,
humility, respect, kindness,
and
and
the way I have access to it. But like you mentioned that about the relationship aspect.
I'm so sorry, I can't hear. Because yeah, I'm
What if that
being
relationship
there's too much noise.
Right.
Okay,
right,
hang
like
on,
it's a
hang on.
bad situation.
Yeah.
And I think
It's a bit of a concoction.
oh yeah, but he no, this is the relationship.
Why don't we just do the
Oh,
one?
yeah, forgiveness wasn't necessarily enough to keep that relationship afloat. But I think to that point too, like even well after we separated, forgiving him, just the conscious decision in my mind, like, you know what, we're not gonna hold this against. I forgive you.
Yeah, I was supposed to have surgery, but.
So I think you can do both, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you can end a relationship.
And forget. Yes, and then what about the forgiving and continuing? That's the
Yeah.
part that I think is mostly challenging.
It's tricky. I would this with my father in particular. And some choice in relationship.
Right, yeah, family is one thing. I feel,
Yeah.
Right,
So,
it's like.
anyway.
Right.
It's more like friends, like family, I'm good at forgiving. It's more like children.
Yeah.
I have children, like in a wrong me like that, I feel like this isn't necessary anymore, but yeah, there's a part that doesn't do this game. Yeah, is it that it's just not good emotionally though, or like that kind of confidence, right? When you're
Yeah.
like finding a new
Yeah.
like someone's that and saying like you want to long this.
Yeah,
I find that so.
Yeah, I can understand there's like a deep sense of I don't want to say betrayal, but it's like I was vulnerable with you, like you know my background, you know what I've been through. You did this anyway. I can imagine that being incredibly difficult with somebody.
Yeah.
And you know, in spite of the vulnerability that you shared with this person,
Yeah.
to turn around and what do I do?
Yeah.
That's really tough.
Yeah.
That makes forgiveness very hard.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there are people in my life that I, other than like romantic relationship or family, that I've been able to figure out kind of like a similar semblance of relationship.
Right. It's a very small pool.
Yeah, very small.
Yeah, especially with this, I was going through the thing with my ex, I was talking with I talked to the kitchen dog quite a bit. And he would, and that's kind of what I mentioned adding too. What helped me always is to understand that this person who's wronged you, that action is coming out of a deep place of suffering in there.
Yeah.
So it's the work I think that I had to work on is kind of like saying that. It sounds so horrible. It's a statement, right?
Yeah.
With emotion. makes forgiveness easy.
Right. It's not about that. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about that.
It's about that.
Totally. Yeah.
They're going through shit too.
Yeah.
It's
I just don't think I have friendships that have past that. That makes sense.
but that's, I mean, that means back to your capital. Sometimes
Yeah.
relationship isn't nice.
Yeah. It's just family. Why?
You know. I mean, to your point too, those are the people you really have no choice, but it's.
So sad.
Yeah. Oh. That's interesting. I feel like
It is, yeah.
holding on to whatever the option might be.
So I finally sure enough to call now.
Anger, frustration, whatever it is. It's like a rope.
But I'm like,
Like you can't
what
progress
you like me to do is.
any further until you get over this.
I'm like,
So it's keeping it to experience that you know you respect that is good for life. It's like on your foot in
That's just like, all she wants, and then she sure.
it's like in a liberating kind of sense, right? Where it's like once you make that conscious decision, you're liberated and just go to the direction. Like
And then like, here we go. Hey, basically.
Right. I feel like, yeah, without,
So,
I guess,
Yeah.
it kind of looking at me like just a second.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes we can relate to, it's like resentment. It's hard to,
You know, you don't know kind of try to.
Yeah.
Fit the situation. Everything has to be. You know, sometimes the patient.
No, that, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And once you get over that, that's when you know you can start seeing the person in a different light.
Yeah. Right. Yourself.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wow, like learned something. So, but that's when they call you out on that stuff.
It's the hardest thing. Forgiveness is so.
And you know, like I think
Again, it's just saying this is coming from that, especially like
and forgiveness.
my dad. Yeah, it's tough. But
Gotten better. Buddhism gotten much better at letting.
he's one of those characters that's like very much of a malignant narcissist. Like in his head, he never does anything wrong. It's always something. Could be like
You're not gonna change. It's never gonna change.
It's hard to be in a relationship with that.
Right.
exactly.
Like, there's no way.
Part of you still
Yeah.
You know, inside it. Yeah.
like actually thinks you're gonna be able to.
It's almost like,
And
different people want it,
and if you're.
and Scott used to be, she's better. The older age, I don't know what happened there, but it was almost like having a relationship with this.
Yeah.
I kind of played along with it almost, and then I got older and I was just like,
It's really profound. The illusion of or the illusion of
yeah, she thought she was. It was who I was in a relationship with.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to have like two needs.
Right. And I think the inside of that too is understanding that that is pretty hard evidence that your life is bad. And further you see it. No, you can't be. Right.
With that
You're
perspective.
like, yeah.
No, it's impossible. I guess maybe the level of joy you can experience is that. That's the ceiling. Rather than the ceiling is limitless when it's authentic.
Right.
So
Limitless guy. And I think that's where you're allowed to experience this in that chase that you know, all
It's very, yeah.
I know. Very interesting people.
And then back then, I don't know how old you are, but like back, oh, you're talking about, you know, the idea of like being employed die for your father, you guys that kind of thing. But this is a novel concept.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Generations have really been.
Of course.
It was like, I mean, the good mothers, all mothers were all in different ways, but yeah, parents. I like to think they done the best. I think they did the best.
Most of them do. They do.
Yeah.
I think they're really nice. My dad has been making leaps and bounds. But already,
That's
a
great.
lot better. I really get along. Relationship with my mom and my stepdad. So.
Oh,
Uh, but yeah, I think they're doing the best they can. It's like you need to remind yourself of that too. It's like they're at least that something.
Right, like someone that can kind of hold these different tenets and these guidelines. Live by them a little more. I don't wanna say easily, 'cause it's hard.
Yeah.
So I got, it's like,
Right.
try, and then some people don't wanna see them.
Right.
And then forgiving them for their and like forgiving myself that like I have this capacity and that doesn't mean I have to accept the other. So we just need to. But
Right. I had like kind of things that could be.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have control.
Yeah, right. It's hard to be in a relationship.
I end up doing more.
Yeah, either don't see it, can't see it.
Taking more out of it.
Don't want to.
Don't want to.
Yeah.
Just letting it come
Yeah,
and
which is
doing more.
another stuff. There's.
Right. And that I think is the important bit where you can turn that into having compassion.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, what it's like, cultivate what it teaches. Important bit.
Right.
And taking it home by month.
I live in the Black Rock area.
More.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. A lot of great.
I live in Bethel.
Oh, you live in Bethel. You're
Yeah. It's nice.
That's amazing. I'm so
I
jealous.
used to live in Norwalk. So,
That's nice.
yeah, I used to.
Yeah.
Travel. It was like 40,
Yes.
you know, what, 30 minutes?
I've had that.
Some days, yeah.
How long have you been coming by here?
I started doing like. Okay. And I lived in Norwalk.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very cool. This place is really special.
No,
And ironically, it's not sure what a lack of work like, because sometimes they're planned, they put it out there.
Yeah, so here. And I was.
Yeah.
And if the planning then becomes like responsible.
Of course, yeah.
So
Like even smaller.
Isn't that, I mean, that's what I found this place, right? When I came here in 2016, when I was going on my little search pad, it was in, I found like a Facebook page, I'm like, check it out, I'm like, we should archive it, like, how it has to be, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And a little meditation, helps with keeping things clear and.
I bet.
And
Yeah.
those things.
Very nice.
Yeah, you too.
This place, no, I like this, it gives me a little amount of peace and stuff, yeah, from like attending this class, that I've learned to. Yeah, Tuesdays are, we discuss, you're familiar with the long term Shimon. So it's kind of like the book discussion, so Tuesday class, like a big fun. Lama Jake sound, but run these 3 volumes for the long term Shimon. Which is like basically applying Buddhist thought and philosophy to.
Right.
More in time with the gambling tradition.
Yeah.
Point is, yeah, that was the first class that I ever done some days I found out about it.
Yeah.
I like now I like the secular nature.
Yeah.
Continuous.
Yeah, I think too. I was raised more.
Really?
Going Sunday, I mean, there's lots of them.
Oh my god.
So, it was, yeah, I like that. Like, with clarity. And yeah, just kind of remember that.
Not grasp.
I think it's up to kind of hear all these
Required as much.
I think that's
collaboration.
Sure.
It's just.
Yeah. Me too.
Oh my gosh, but yeah, I do love
Be
the
good.
Sunday is like
What do you think?
it's a slow quiet day, especially around here.
Yeah, I
So-
can imagine.
so-
Yeah, it stinks. And
Yeah. Are you in Black Rock? Are you kind of in the vibe, the energy of it all, or are you kind of
Very much so.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Black Rock has it's my favorite thing is the Black Rock vibe. It's
a little bit? Yeah, my
it's a cool place. In a restaurant in Fairfield, my family owns a place there. So we're part of the Black Rock Fairfield community. Are you familiar with like the St. Mary's by the Sea area?
I'm really familiar with Jennings Beach. I used to
Okay.
go there all the time.
Jennings, we love Jennings. So if you go, like basically way to the end of Jennings,
Okay.
towards the side.
Yeah.
I live like right in that area. On the, yeah, on the coast. But no, Five was amazing.
Yeah.
Really cool. Like big music scene, like just all big music.
Little, like, is there a strip or is there like?
You guys,
It's
so we're gonna do
yeah, no, it's cute.
a guided meditation now.
It's a venue that you would recommend.
Oh, Park City Music Hall for sure. Yeah, check that out.
If you want to
You got it.
return to your seats or stay where you are, whatever, it's fine.
This close to putting my dog inside the like this check make sure that she's okay, but she's good. It's alright, she's good now, so
Good. But the same is coming out and.
big bone sliver, like in her is a little back. So they took her to get X-rays. Apparently she just went like the opposite stuff. So she went I was like,
Oh, sure.
oh, I was wrecking. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks. Yeah, me too. She's a girl. She's okay. She upset tummy. She got into the bird seat.
It's enticing.
Yeah.
All right. So we have this beautiful guided meditation from the 16 Guidelines Meditation Course book. So I thought we would go through that. So we'll sit in our meditation postures. You can just sit comfortably with your hands on your knees, or if you're sitting in a chair, or if you're sitting cross-legged on the floor, then you can have your palms folded comfortably in your lap. So the back should be naturally upright, but not, stiff and uncomfortable. Your arms and shoulders should be loose and relaxed, and you can drop your chin slightly, keep your eyes half closed or closed, whatever is better. There's my co-pilot, the gorgeous Mr. Sheens.
Hi, Shane.
Adorable.
Getting ready.
He's been blessed for like 10 years and he's still alive. He's 15, so he must be getting some good stuff, right?
Yeah, a lot of forgiveness. There was a lot of peace and happiness in Joyce's life. Okay. So we're going to start by taking 3 long breaths. So what does forgiveness mean to you? Is it primarily an outward gesture or an inner experience? And who benefits most from forgiveness? The person who's being forgiven or the person who is doing the forgiving? Is it always appropriate to forgive? Are there tools that can help us bring more forgiveness into the world? Okay, so with those questions setting the context for the actual meditation, imagine yourself sitting by a gentle stream on a warm, sunlit day. Above you, the sky is a radiant blue, and around you stretches a meadow of soft green grass dotted with vibrant flowers. The only sounds are bird song and the soothing murmur of the water. As you settle into this peaceful scene, let your mind rest and enjoy the tranquility. Now turn your attention to the stream. The water is clear, but winds its way around clusters of rocks, large and small, that interrupt its flow. These rocks represent past hurts, some minor, some deeper, that have shaped your life. The smaller ones might symbolize thoughtless words a friend said to you, or fleeting moments of feeling excluded, while the larger rocks signify profound wounds such as betrayal or abandonment. Can you imagine letting go of these burdens? What would that feel like? Start by selecting one small rock from the stream and placing it gently on the grass before you. Let it symbolize a minor hurt you feel ready to forgive. Reflect for a moment on the weight of carrying this rock and how it has hindered the flow of your life. Now bring into this serene meadow the person connected to this hurt. Picture them standing quietly before you under the open sky. They too long for happiness and peace of mind. Reflect on how burdensome this shared hurt may feel for both of you. As much as you can, generate a sense of kindness and care for them. Focus on their wish to be happy, just as you wish to be. Visualize these warm feelings as a radiant white light glowing in your heart. And with your next exhale, send this light to them. As you inhale, imagine drawing in their confusion or negativity in the form of dark smoke. So you're bringing in all their confusion, all their negativity, all their suffering in the form of dark smoke. There's no need to fear this because the dark smoke has no power. As soon as it enters your body and reaches the light in your heart, it dissolves instantly. Then continue this cycle naturally with your breath. Exhale white light, inhale dark smoke, and watch it dissolve into nothingness within you. So you're inhaling all of their suffering and sending out all of your forgiveness, all your loving kindness, all of your compassion. After a while, see the person bathed in light, their heart filled with peace and happiness. Feel the joy of releasing both yourself and them from this burden. As they fade from the meadow, offer them a silent wish. May this heal whatever has come between us. When you look again, the rock on the grass may have dissolved, or you might choose to place it back in the stream, ready to return to it another time. Now you're alone once more in this beautiful, peaceful landscape under the clear blue sky. Rest here a moment, knowing that forgiveness begins with a warm and open heart. Okay. All right, so when you're ready, please bring your attention back to the room. May the practice of forgiveness enrich our life and the lives of all those around us. Any thoughts that you'd like to share about the meditation? Anything that came up for you? Is it helpful? Flavio?
The power of meditation. The power of meditation.
Power of meditation.
But I don't know why, but I was not feeling very well until these last 10 minutes.
Oh,
It changed everything completely.
okay.
Nothing
Beautiful.
wrong, everything is okay, but when you're not, I was moody or something.
Yeah, a little off.
And then 10 minutes, everything is gone. It's completely
Good, good. Yeah.
relaxed.
So this is like the giving and taking meditation, right? Tonglen, essentially putting it into practice in the context specifically of forgiveness. All right. Any other ideas, thoughts? No?
I love there were two things I really loved. One was when making your heart light, and then once it touches it, it dissolves.
Mm.
But that was such a really fascinating image, and never really crossed my mind to have that happen. Like, oh, my heart can be a source of strength in that way. That just the imagery was really beautiful. And then typically when I've done or been a part of meditations, you're inhaling the thing that you don't want or like, and then like exhaling, or you're inhaling the thing you want and exhaling the thing you want to release.
Right,
Whereas
right.
this
It's the opposite.
meditation, it was the opposite. And I was like, oh, your mind is blown right now. This is so cool and so different. So I really
Yeah.
appreciated it.
Yeah. That is a beautiful meditation.
Yeah.
John?
I think the imagery of the rock and the stream helped you set your mind without it. It helped not wander. It helped it stay focused for me.
Yeah,
just being
that's a
able to
good point.
focus on that imagery was kept me in it
Yeah,
as opposed to wandering around a bit. So
yeah,
that's really good.
yeah. I really like the way they the meditation sets the environment so beautifully, and the smaller rocks. Lots of small pebbles, and then the bigger ones. Yeah, there is an anchoring feeling to it. Yeah, and I was actually thinking I should bring pebbles for everybody or rocks for everybody to hold, because that tactile sensation, a nice smooth rock, right? It would be really cool to have that in your hands, right, and feel it.
I feel like that really detailed description too, like puts you physically, or not physically, but mentally in that setting where you feel like you're there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. We'll have to do it in the spring. We'll go outside and we'll sit by the pond or something.
We just saw like a tangerine.
What? Sorry, I couldn't hear
No,
you.
technology said like, really pay attention to a tangerine.
A tangerine. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Smell it, smile at it.
Yeah. All right. So I guess that's it for today's session. And I think the next class is about gratitude, if I'm not mistaken. So my buddy Seamus and I will see you at the social hour. So thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you.
And take care.
Thank you, Annie.
All right.
Thank you, Anila.
Thank you.
Really great.